Hey, welcome. I wanted to do a quick bonus video on how to use essential oils with children and share a few stories that I have on how I've used the oils with my children over the last 6 years. My name is Davina. I have 5 children, ages ranging from 12 down to 1. So I have a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And I have used essential oils extensively on my kiddos for the past 6 years. That's our go-to. I'm not against using regular medicine. We have used it when we need to, but I've been able to cut that down so much. It's been phenomenal. So one of the first oils that I used whenever I first got started with the oils was lavender, and I actually used it on myself. I was nursing a baby and I couldn't take over-the-counter medicine for anything dealing with the yuckiness up here, and so I was pretty much miserable, and I didn't realize that you can use like a neti pot type thing to help with that, and so I learned something later to use for that, and that works phenomenal. But I started just applying lavender on my sinuses, and after a couple days I felt like a brand new person. One of the big things that I have used on my kids over the years, this is my go-to oil with any type of coughs or any type of gunkiness, is I like to use lemon essential oil. And I use lemon as a first line of defense whenever my kids start to feel yucky. Though I listened to a teaching by Dr. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's Minke. So Dr. Mink, I'm not sure. And he had talked about lemon oil being great to use when you first start to feel a little run down, like you might be starting to not feel well. And for children, like little infants, you do half a drop to 1 drop on their chest, diluted with the carrier oil every 10 minutes until you start to see things get better. And my son was 8 months old, my Jack at the time when I first got into the oils, and he was all congested and yucky and was just not able to breathe very well, and I'd been suctioning his nose out and it just kept on coming. And so I remembered his teaching, the Dr. Mink's teaching, and so I got my oil and I set a timer on my phone for every 10 minutes and I applied half a drop to his chest, and it took about 4 applications, so 40 minutes. I'm sitting there with my child doing this, and I realized after 40 minutes he was resting peacefully and didn't have any more of the gunkiness that he was dealing with. So that is my go-to oil when my kids first start to get sick. If you have a children that like 3 to 5 and up range, you can do 2 to 3 drops every 10 minutes, and I've actually been doing this on my kids starting at 5 o'clock this morning on my Arwen, my 3-year-old, with a carrier oil. And then for an adult, you can do 8 drops every 10 minutes whenever you start to feel something coming on, and it's just phenomenal for helping with that. Another story that I have, my son, we were at my grandmother's funeral of all places, at the graveside memorial that they do, service they do, and we were in Texas, and if you guys know Texas, they have the worst fire ants ever. And we're standing there, and all of a sudden I think he was 2 at the time, he was screaming, and he was 2 or 3, I can't remember, he was 2. He was screaming, and he'd had fire ants all over him. So in the middle of that service, I had to strip him down to his underwear, and thank God I had basil with me, because basil is phenomenal for ant bites, especially if you get it on at the very beginning. So I put that all over him. We smelled like a Italian eatery with the basil all over him, and he immediately stopped screaming. He felt much better, and he didn't get major blisters like you normally get with the fire ant bite. So that was awesome. So I keep basil in my essential oil bag. I carry this bag around. It's looking pretty rough now. It's even got like an ink stain on it, and when I zip it one way, it don't zip right. So, but I've had this for like 6 years, and it smells phenomenal from all the oils that have dripped on it and stuff, because I carry this with me everywhere. And I usually have all the oils in the container, and then I have stuff like piled on top because I carry so much with me. So, because I always like to be prepared. Let's see, what else? Okay, so Young Living has a kids line too. They do have what they call digize, but this is tummy jize. It's already diluted for a ratio for kids, and I like the way this one smells better than the digize. So I use this on myself too, but this is really good for digestive support or anytime a tummy upset. So I like to use that with my kids. When my kids have ear troubles, I I often will use these two. So you don't drop oils in the ears ever. In fact, I should have done that on the safety video that I posted, the bonus. Don't put oils, don't drop them in your ears, and don't put them in your eyes. So that's another safety tip. But I like to do either lavender and tea tree or lavender and purification around the ears. And I can take care of ear issues 70 times for less than $7. So about the cost of going to a Chick-fil-A restaurant and getting a Chick-fil-A sandwich and a meal, I can take care of my kids' ears pretty well. I mentioned pine in the last video. For little ones, pine is what's more recommended for like the occasional cough or anything like that. I, however, do use some of the oils that that like some people caution on your kids, because my kids don't have any issues with them. I went to a class and there was a doctor talking about the oils and which ones to use on kids and which ones that you shouldn't. And I about had a heart attack because I was using all the ones that they said not to use. So after the class, I went to the doctor and I said, okay, I've been using these on my children, but nothing's happened. They've been great. And he said, well, if you have used them on your kids and there's no problems, you don't need to stop using them. We just caution people not to use them because there's a less than 2% chance that they could have some, like a respiratory distress from it. So since I always like to tell people that, since I know that now, but RC and Raven are great for respiratory support. I use these on my kids. I do dilute them sometimes. Some of my kids I have to dilute more than others. Like River, my oldest, who's 12, she is very sensitive to the oils, so I have to dilute everything on her. But my youngest, that is 1, I don't have to dilute hardly anything on her because it doesn't bother her. So I do use these on my kids, the Raven and RC. But for you guys, when you're first starting out, I would get you some pine. It's what is more recommended for kiddos. And then when my kids are teething and they need a little bit of just relief or whatever, Copaiba. It is a mild smell. It has hardly any taste. And my kids, whenever they realized what I was doing when they're little and I was rubbing it on their mouths, when they saw me grab this oil and their mouth was hurting, they would come to me and with their mouth open, knowing that I was gonna do this. So I use this instead of other things for teething. This is wonderful. This is an enhancer. So if you say you put pain away on your legs because you've had a great workout and you need a little bit of soothing there to your muscles, this right here is an enhancer. You apply it on top of that and it just makes that much better, even much better. Let's see, Thieves. I have a roll on here. So Thieves is something I like to put on my kids' feet every day before they go to school. I often forget that they need to put it on them until they're running out the door and they already have their shoes on. So I get a roller bottle and I put some carrier oil in it, like olive oil, so that I can roll it up their spine, because Thieves is a hot oil. This is one you're going to want to use a carrier oil with, unless you're putting it on the feet. The feet don't seem to be very sensitive to the oils. You can put them on there and you don't have to usually dilute or anything. So if I don't get it on their feet, I'll have one. I usually don't use this one because this one's made up and it doesn't have a carrier oil in it that I'm aware of. I don't see a carrier oil on here. I'll get just a blank one and put some Thieves in it, put a little bit of carrier oil in it, roll it up their spine just to make sure they get it on. And then this helps keep their immune system up all day. Let's see. What other one? What else do I use on my children that would be beneficial for you to learn about? I can't really think of anything. Oh, I will tell you a story that this story is what got me where I believed in the oils wholeheartedly and just really launched myself into using the oils more and even doing this as a business because of the help that I was able to give somebody. And hopefully I don't get teared up when I talk about this, because usually I do, because I have 5 kids and this is really close to home for me. So I'd been using oils for about a month and didn't really know what I was doing, but just playing around with them and stuff and sharing what I'd learned, because they were working for us so phenomenally. I mean, I was taking my kids to the doctor 3 to 4 times a month, and then next thing I know, we're our health has done a huge 180. And I don't know if you've seen the first video where I did the intro, but I have 5 kids now, and we go to the doctor maybe 3 to 4 times a year, from 3 to 4 times a month. And usually we don't even have to go 3 to 4 times a year. So anyway, back to the story. I got a message on Facebook that a mom was desperate, needing thieves, and she was gonna send her husband to the store to get it. And I was like, oh no, you can't do that. There's no way that you'll get the support that you need. But she had a 4-week-old that had something going on up here and was not doing well in the hospital. She'd been hospitalized, and they were doing breathing treatments, all the stuff that you need to do to help for what was going on with her respiratory. And they were getting desperate. The doctors pretty much had told the mom, get your affairs in order. She's not going to make it. And so I reached out to a clinical aromatherapist on our team. She's phenomenal, and she made me up a mixture that she called Breathe Easy, and it had in a 15 milliliter or 1 ounce bottle, it had 1 drop of Thieves, 1 drop of RC, 1 drop of Raven, 1 drop of oregano, 1 drop of lavender, and then she filled the rest with the carrier oil. But then she put it in just a 5 milliliter bottle. So this little one, there was like not even half a drop of each of these oils in there. Since she was so little, she didn't need all that, like the more amount. So I reached out to the mom and said, hey, I have this mixture. I'm going to bring it to you. And I drove an hour in the ice and snow to get that oil. And then I drove an hour to where she was at in the hospital to give her that oil. I had never met her before. I didn't know her. It's just people knew I had been talking about oils. And so through the grapevine, I ended up being able to help this mom. And I was on pins and needles. I didn't know if this was going to work. I'd only been using oils for a month, and I knew they worked for me for little things, but God, this was huge. And so I got to the hospital, messaged the mom and said, hey, I'm in the waiting room. I have a I have a brown and pink coat on. And mom came, gave her the oils, and I left. And then I stayed glued to Facebook over the next week. Our whole team did, actually, seeing the updates that the mom was saying. And what was so phenomenal is the first time that she applied the oils to that little one, her respiratory rate slowed down to more of a normal rate. And after 3 days, now she's still having all her treatment, so it's not just the oils. This is the oils were just added in, so she's still having her breathing treatment, still doing everything that the doctors were telling them to do. So after 3 days, that baby was able to come off oxygen, and on the 5th day, she got to go home. And she had been in the hospital for a week prior, and so it was huge adding that in to help that little one. So to this day, I get to see this little one grow up on Facebook. She is a thriving preschooler at this point. So I just really, after that was my I don't know, that was what solidified the oils for me, and I have never looked back. So for 6 years, we've been using oils, and I have a large amount. I don't go without them. I keep a good stock. Like I said, I carry oils around with me everywhere I go. So hopefully you got some great tips for using essential oils with your children. And if you have questions, again, post below, do comment below, and I will get back to you with any questions. I will most likely just refer you to some type of reference guide that can give you the answers better than what I can. But anyways, I hope this was helpful and you got value out of it. And if you have questions, just let me know. You guys have a blessed day. Hey, just kidding, the video is not over. I forgot to give you guys a really awesome testimonial on lavender, and I'll post a picture of it in this video. I'm just going to link this one up to the other one that I just did on essential oils in children. But one of my team members has a little boy named Max, and he had burnt his finger and didn't say anything to her, and she noticed it at the end of the day. And so she got lavender essential oil and some hemp seed oil and applied it to his finger. And the next morning, whenever they woke up, his hand was so much better. It was white with the burn before, and then there was just a little pinkness, and you can see that in the picture that I'm just about to show you here. So just wanted to share that testimonial with you. It's awesome. The essential oils are awesome, and I'll just dub this in so you guys get that benefit of seeing what lavender can do for you and your kiddos. So all right, you guys have a great day.